left my husband 5 months ago and I regret it. No, you're not supposed to say that. I know I'm supposed to be in my living my best life hoe era, whatever, but like, no. These last 5 months have broken my spirit. They have been the hardest of my life. These last 5 months have required so much work, so much discipline to get back to myself. But it's supposed to suck. I talked to my friend last night about this on the phone and he really put it in perspective for me. Said the year you get a divorce was going to suck regardless. I question my decisions constantly. No matter what choice I made, I would have been miserable regardless. Life is not supposed to be happy and perfect all the time. Most growth comes from the times when we are having to do the work, having to sit in our misery, having to sit in the quiet. And that is exactly what I'm doing. 31 and I feel like I'm 18 again trying to navigate the world. Because you know what I regret more than leaving my husband? It having to get to that point anyway. I regret marrying the wrong person in the first place and not listening to my intuition. From my mistakes. So that you can learn from me being a dumbass. Because I feel dumb all the time. Of course, it's normal to have regret. I regret so many things in my life, but I can't let it ruin my life either. Never learn from things going right. We learn from them going wrong, and I'm holding on to that. I regret that I had to get to that point. I didn't want it to, but it happened, and we move on.
Divorced, and I was so surprised because her and her husband were such a cute couple and they had been together for 11 years. So I asked her, like, what happened? I figured something bad happened. She's like, honestly, I was just bored. Like, my husband, all he did was work. I was a stay-at-home mom. We had 3 kids and I just got lonely and bored. And she says that when she would bring it up, like, he would take her out, but it was just boring to her. Like, she needed some excitement in her life. She just felt like she was just a mom and a wife, and her husband just wasn't doing that for her. And she had other friends that had, you know, boyfriends, or like they had just got married, and they were always going out, always going on vacation, always partying, like going to the club, going to the bar, hanging out with friends, and they did none of that. And when she would bring it up to her husband would always tell her, like, I gotta work. Like, you know, they had a big house, they had nice things. Like, he was just trying to work. So they ended up getting divorced. And now, you know, she's single, she lives alone, she's working, and she's dating. So then I told her, oh, well, that must be exciting, like dating and stuff. And she's like, no, I fucking hate it. And I was like, why? And she's like, because all they want to do is just have fun. They just want to go to the club. They just want to go to the bar. They just want to hang out, have a good time, and then that's it. She said, no one wants to help me out. Like, I'm trying to find someone that's going to help take care of my kids. She's like, I just want someone to be a provider, not just a good time. So I was all like, well, wasn't that what your husband was doing? And she's like, I know. And I guess now her ex-husband is dating someone, like, seriously. They have been divorced for a total of 3 years, and he has been dating this girl for 2 years. She has 2 kids, and they're already living together. She says that he's fully taking care of her. Like, the girl doesn't work, she's a stay-at-home mom. They haven't had any new kids, but they're planning on having kids. And she's pissed because she's like, how can he move on so fast? Like, you know, I can't even find nobody, and he just found someone so quick, and he didn't even want to give us another try, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was so confused because I was like, okay, so you divorced him because he was always working and you were bored. So now you're single, going out, having a good time, dating, but you don't like that. Now you want someone to take care of you, a provider. And your ex-husband, all he wanted to do was be a provider. That's why now he is dating someone who he has no problem providing for her and her kids. And she's pissed because she's like, why would he go and find someone who has kids? Like, he already has kids. Why would he want to take on that responsibility? And I'm like, wait, aren't you looking for someone to take on that responsibility? I was just giving her a hard time, not gonna lie, because it was kind of funny to me, because I was like,
if you are considering leaving your partner, or you think that your partner is about to leave you, listen to the words I'm about to say. Also, if you received this from somebody, you need to bookmark, save, like, take notes on everything I'm about to tell you. I am 5 years post-divorce and I'm remarried. I have a very good relationship with my husband. We have a new daughter together. We're a blended family. I have read over 50-something books on marriage, divorce, attachment theory, all the things. Have spent literally tens of thousands of dollars in therapy. And I wish somebody would have sent me a video like this before my divorce. Sarah's comment, I made this decision and regret it 100%. My ex was a great man. I just thought I'd be happier alone after 20 years of marriage, but I was miserable and my daughter was miserable. Biggest mistake ever. First of all, Sarah, thank you for your authentic transparency. It is refreshing, but also extremely sad. I'm sorry that you've gone through that. And here's what I want to say. No matter the path you take, whether it's staying in the relationship or going through the divorce, both situations take work. Staying in a relationship takes work to have a healthy marriage. And when you decide or whatever to pull the trigger on divorce, you're going to have an entire set of new things to work on going through your divorce. And then multiply that by 10 if you have children. So if you're watching this and you think your partner is about to leave you, or you're considering leaving your partner, you have to choose your hard, because both are hard. And relationships forever are going to take work. You might think that this relationship is too much work for you and then you move on to somebody else, but surprise, you're going to have to work in that relationship too. So if you haven't even been to therapy with your partner, if you've not picked up a self-help book or listened to podcasts, I'm telling you, before you make the jump to divorce, especially with children, start with that. Start with doing some work, because when you go through a divorce, it is an entire, it takes work to leave somebody. It's not just you sign some papers. When kids are involved, it's not you just sign some papers and you move on. You then have to figure out how to co-parent with somebody that you believe is your enemy. You have to figure out how to pay all of your bills by yourself and be a solo parent. You're going to have to find a new community of friends, because the old community that you were in no longer can relate to you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people say before you divorce. I'm telling you, the dynamics change. You might have somebody who brings you to court every 6 months. We call them frequent filers. You're only going to see your kids half the time, most likely, which also means you're going to be sharing holidays. So you're going to spend some holidays probably alone without your children. You literally are going to miss out on half of your children's lives. Half. It is the most painful thing. There are no words. So I'm just saying, you have to choose your hard here. Both are extremely hard. It's hard. Even in my new relationship with my husband, it takes work. He and I have gone to, marriage conferences and read so many books together, and we have set time aside every single morning to have coffee and connect with each other. We are constantly sending each other podcasts and books, and because he's gone through divorce, I've gone through divorce, we have agreed we are never going to go through that pain again. But we also, some of that pain that comes with divorce is watching your children suffer, and we don't ever want our kids to experience anything remotely close to that ever again. Now, I have to say, this does not apply to all situations. There are some situations with abuse and things like that where, yes, you need to leave. I am not talking to those situations. I'm talking to the people who they just don't get along, or they don't like their spouse or whatever, and they're like, man, I could probably be happier somewhere else. One of the comments that was on this video, he said something about how it was the best decision for him, but the worst decision for his kids. And man, I was like, yes, I resonate with that. Because I can find happiness and peace and joy and all of that, but the children, it's devastating. So choose your hard. My recommendation, and take it or leave it, is to at least try the hard first before you break your family on purpose. Try going to counseling, try the books, try all of that, and send this to somebody if you're thinking about leaving your partner, because partner, what they're telling you is, let's do this hard before we have to do that hard.
I am honestly really sad right now, if you can tell. That's the weirdest thing about grief is didn't cry for 2 days, was good for 2 days, and now I'm by myself, and it's just the hurricane, it's here again, it's, the tsunami is back. It's just so hard, and I'm frustrated because I, my whole world got disheveled. And I feel like he has moved on, and he is healed and moved on and doesn't care about me, which I don't want him to come back into my life, but it still just sucks, you know? I can't imagine, you know, thank you guys for sharing stuff, like stories that you've gotten through this and it's been however many years, because I could not imagine that. I can't imagine being with someone for a really long time and going through this, you know? Sorry if you can hear my cat literally playing in the background. Like, I was only with him for 4.5 years, 1 year married. I could not imagine, though, being with him for longer and this happening, but it's just so sad sometimes, and it's like so hard to have to learn how to do life by yourself again. Like, you know, you don't have that person to call all the time or that best friend to go do things with. And that's what scares me. I've never truly been alone and worked on myself, and I'm terrified of it. Not me crying on the internet more, but I just want to share all of it, the good and the bad, you know, so that I have this to look on a year from now and know that I did heal, but also to help anybody else who's going through heartbreak. Like, heartbreak sucks. It sucks so bad. You like physically feel the pain, emotionally, mentally, everything. And again, I had 2 really, really good days. Did not cry at all those 2 days. And then, you know, as soon as I'm by myself, or as soon as, you know, I do something or something triggers me, it just all comes flooding back. And like, it's just a lot. Grief sucks. This whole thing sucks so bad, and I'm literally praying and thinking about anybody else going through a divorce. I just wanted to talk about the fact that it's okay to sit down and miss the person sometimes, miss the connection you had. I think a lot of the times I try, and I think I'm really strong about what happened to me most of the time, and I think that I haven't cried about my ex in a long time, actually. But today, I just kind of sat down, and this is a holiday I probably would have spent with his family too, and it's okay to just like miss what you had sometimes. Like, I know that we try and tell ourselves like, well, you know, they weren't right for us, or maybe they were a bad person, or maybe they did this, or they did this to you. And like, while I think that's true, and like, I think that you can tell yourself that, I mean, that's like, I try and put on this sorry, this is very rambly, but I really did just pick up the camera and start talking. I think what I'm trying to say is that we tell ourselves, or at least I do, if I'm thinking about my ex, I typically am just like, nope, not gonna think about him. Like, we're detaching, you know what I mean? And that works the majority of the time. But sometimes you can just sit down and cry. You can sit down and let out your feelings. And I think people who don't ever cry about the things, or people who don't ever let themselves think about it, like, we have to think about it. We have to feel the things, and that doesn't make you weak. Like, being vulnerable does not make you weak. I really hate when people say that, because life is all about the human emotions and what we go through. You know what I mean? Like, that is literally life. And I just think that it's okay to just sit down and miss what you had. It's okay to, and that's not even me saying, oh, I miss my ex, I miss blah blah blah. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that sometimes I miss having a connection like that, where I felt like, oh, I had a person, right? And like, I had my person. I miss that for sure, but I think sometimes it's okay. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to sit. And I think a lot of the times we try and distract, or we try and fill with voids, or we try and move on to the next person. And some days it's okay to just sit, and it's okay to have a cry and get back out there in life.
Something really quickly. So whenever I figured out that my ex-husband was dating the girl that I was worried about at the end of our marriage, I was so sad at first. And then I realized how much stronger I am now than even I was 6 months ago, because that would have made me feel devastated for like weeks, I feel like. And I was really only sad for like a day or two. Like, yeah, it still hurts. It's disappointing and it hurts, but it's almost like the anticipation of what I thought was going to be my worst nightmare. Now that it like came true, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, that says way more about him than it does me and our relationship. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just kind of wanted to share that and share where my headspace is at and everything.
I need you! I don't want to do this if I don't have you, please! Please! Record me, I don't care! Record me, I don't care! Post it!
I'm not even recording you.
Post it! Post it! I don't care! 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 I don't care!
This one's a classic video that really does go to show how childish a lot of modern women truly are. There is very little difference between how she's acting and a child who just had their favorite toy taken away.
I don't want to work.
Holy snap. What are you doing, bro?
I need you! Take me back! Please! I'm going crazy! Please! Please! Take me back! Please! I'm going crazy! Please! 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 Please!
I'm afraid that I have to walk back my previous statement. I'm fairly certain children would be more mature than this. This is what happens when you baby people well into adulthood. They are unprepared for anything.
Please! 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 Walter! Please! 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 Please!
Can you please stop acting like
Please!
that?
I can't!
Alright, calm down.
I'm hurt! I'm hurt! Please! 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 Please!
This behavior is completely unacceptable. There was a time when people had enough common sense to not have massive emotional meltdowns in public. Now they are practically encouraged.
Please! 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 Please, Walter! Please, Molly! Please! 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 Please!
Please what?
Please take me back.
I took you
You
back.
won't. I don't want to be with you and everybody else. I want to feel you way. Please take me back. Please take me back. Please. Please take me back. Please take me back. Please. Please take me back. How could you get?
I decided that I was going to tell him that I wanted a divorce. I texted my therapist, our marriage counselor, and I was like, I need to tell him that I want a divorce, but I want to do it in a session so that there's like a mediator present.
Translation: she won in a 2-on-1 ambush.
Got us in like ASAP, like 2 days later. And I walked in knowing that I was going to ask for a divorce. And so we sit down in our session. It's like really tense, really awkward. My ex was sitting there like, so why do we have an emergency session? The therapist was like, Jamie, do you want to start? And I just started crying and I was like, I want a divorce. You know, it's hard for me to like say the words. And I was like, I'm done. I want a divorce. He sat there quiet. I'm sitting next to him crying. He didn't move. He didn't look at me. He didn't react at all. He just was stone cold. What? And eventually our therapist was like, would you like to respond? So he responded right away and he's like, fine, let's just go ahead and finalize the details. And that was that. And it was like, I looked at my therapist and I was just like kind of stunned.
Oh, what's wrong, Pookie? Did your plan to get him to lose his cool in front of a witness so you can use it against him in court fail miserably?
It's sad, isn't it?
Like, I knew that I was ready to leave that day, but I couldn't believe that that was his reaction. There was no empathy, there was no compassion, there was no like wanting to fight for us, which...
Fight for what? To give you validation after you tried to rip his guts out in front of a stranger? Or to give you ammo to use against him in court?
I don't think so.
I didn't think that there would be, but you know, you just always hope that like one last try, you know? We went home that night. We didn't speak. He slept on the couch. I woke up and went to work the next day. Came home. He was playing PlayStation that night. I sat next to him. We hadn't talked in 24 hours. And
I said, can we talk about what happened yesterday? And he was just playing, just looking straight ahead. And he's like, what's to talk about? In my mind, I'm thinking, it's our last ditch effort to like steer the ship around, you know? And I was like, so what are we going to do? And he just kept playing. And he was like, I already got an apartment. I already took my name off of the lease. He had done things within that 24 hours. He had opened up the filing folder of his single man life and went ahead and got all the shit done.
Yeah.
Okay, this video is going to be more of like a rant and just like probably a little bit TMI, but my divorce girlies are going to know what I'm talking about. So when I was married for 13 years, and I like 100% supported my ex-husband in like the startup of his business. Like, I created his LLC. I did all of these things. I pushed him to go to his taxidermy school. I made sure that he had a business. I picked the start date. I made the Facebook page. I did all of the things for him. And in the background, I was building my own business and working full time. Fast forward several years later, and we decided to get a divorce. Things just didn't work out. The why doesn't matter, but what does matter, and what I'm really struggling with right now, and I'm sure that I'm not alone, is that I was the breadwinner, right? He was a small business owner, so tax returns, you know, write-offs, all the things. And I worked full-time W-2 making over 6 figures a year. So when it came down to time for our divorce, even though the reasons of the divorce were not my fault fully, no, I shouldn't say that. I'm just as much to be held accountable for the divorce as him. Anyways, because I made the majority of the money on paper, I was required to take all of the debt in my divorce or pay him alimony or child support. And quite frankly, you got me f***ed up. Because I ain't no motherfucker. So I willingly took all of the debt. And 100% am supposed to pay for all of the kids' activities and all of the things, which I do. And like literally everybody in my life told me not to do that. And I thought, it's fine. I've got it. I'll be able to handle it. Everything's fine. I'm going to be able to do it. And here we are like 2 years out and I'm literally f***ing drowning. I quit my job to take my business full time last year, and it was really not, I didn't really want to quit. I really wasn't financially ready to quit, but I had missed so much work because my oldest son had, you know, been hospitalized for his mental health a couple times, and then my daughter with her diabetes, and I was a sales commission job, so my customer service score was dropping. So it was like a mutually agreeable, like, okay, we're going to see you later type deal with my full-time job. And I am just like, I'm f***ing drowning in debt. And like, I get calls every single day. Like, hey, you owe us this money, and hey, you owe us this money. And I'm like literally just trying to pay my rent. And I'm not asking for anything unless you like want to join my coaching programs. Like, that would be great. But like, I'm not asking for you to like Venmo me money. I'm venting because I'm so frustrated because it's like, life's not fair. And I know that. And I'm not going to like sit in victim mentality, but like, it should not be this hard to live in this country. And I'm drowning, and I'm not the only one, and I gotta go to my daughter's basketball tournament. Okay, bye.
The court notified me that my final decree of divorce has been approved by the judge. I know that it sucks being alone. I come home and I'm alone. I go everywhere alone. I don't hardly talk to him anymore. I don't blame him. I filed for the divorce. So I'm sure people are wondering, well, you filed. Why are you so upset? Why are you crying? Just because you make a decision that you think is going to end up making things better doesn't mean that you have to give up the fact that you love that person or that you did it because you were trying or whatever. I've never met anybody like him, and I've never loved anybody like him either, but I don't want a divorce. I still am very much in love with my husband.
Can you imagine fumbling a man who literally only went to work, went to the gym, worked on himself, focused only on you as his person, and was trying to actually build a future with you, and you fumbled that man because you thought you could do better, or you got bored, or you thought something was wrong with him? You're gonna regret that for the rest of your life. I'm sorry.